When I first watched the Super Mario movie in cinemas, I was disappointed. Not because I thought it was a bad movie, I recognized that it wasn't a movie for me, it was much more of a kids' movie than I was expecting it to be. Just because the movie felt like it wasted a lot of potential. It felt like it had so much that it could have done, but didn't. It just went with the safe illumination. Hey, wouldn't it be funny if this guy was fighting a dog? Everybody knows Mario's number one enemy, the dog. I remember that immediately after leaving that movie, all I could think of was that I could try and do a better version of it. And I came home and I immediately started writing the version that I would create if I was making a Super Mario movie from the very beginning. It was like something took over me. I'm not really a big Mario fan, but I just felt like I needed to write my own version of the Mario world. I even did some research into it and decided, you know what, I'm going to use some obscure characters in it. Almost 2 years on, I'm now here deciding to make a video on it because it's still stuck in my head that movie wasted a lot of potential and I wanted to share my version of it. There's not going to be many visuals on this video just because it could be quite a long video, but I really just want to get this off my chest. My version of the story opens pretty similar to how the film does. We need to establish Bowser as a villain. I haven't rewatched the film since that very beginning, but I remember that he attacks the Ice Kingdom and the penguin people who live there. In this, I've changed this to Sarasaland, which is a kind of desert world that you normally visit in the Mario games. We open on Bowser's assault into the main castle of Sarasaland. He destroys everything in his path, battling with all of the different inhabitants of the world. He has a huge army behind him and he seems hellbent on getting into this castle. But when he does get in there, he's disappointed, because what he finds isn't what he's expecting. He wanted to find Princess Peach, but when he breaks in, he finds the princess of Sarasaland is Daisy. Daisy to me has always been the much more girl boss of the two main Mario princesses, so she's a bit more feisty and she's a bit more in your face than Princess Peach is, and this is one of the reasons why Bowser doesn't want Daisy. He wants Princess Peach because she's the lovey-dovey kind of princess of it. However, Bowser, having done all the effort, reluctantly takes Daisy away and imprisons her. And that's our opening scene, that's our cold open set up for the rest of the movie. We've set up Bowser as the bad guy, and Bowser wants to kidnap Princess Peach. From here we go into the real world where we set up our main characters, Mario and Luigi. Like in the movie, they're plumbers, but we need to set up even more that these guys are absolute losers. I think that you introduce them by they're working a job for an old lady, and then maybe the old lady doesn't have enough money to pay them, and then they kind of say, oh, it's okay. That establishes that the Mario Bros are kind and good people, but also that they are losers and that their lives aren't really going that well. To make it even worse for the brothers, they arrive back home to a surprise party, and they think it's a surprise party for them, but it's actually a surprise party for their cousin Stanley, who has just got engaged to Mario's ex-wife Pauline, who is also the mayor of the city. I think people are quite familiar with the idea of Pauline as a Mario character, but Stanley was a character who I had to look up because I just wanted to know if Mario had like any relatives, and Stanley is probably the closest to this. He's a character who appears in a Donkey Kong game, and he's an exterminator. I would have him play the role of the smarmy, incredibly arrogant, better version of Mario. Everybody loves Stanley, but everyone dislikes Mario, and Stanley's life is going really well, and Mario's life is going really badly. To add insult to injury, I'd make Stanley a bit of a local hero, as in his role as an exterminator or pest control person, he helped defeat a rampaging gorilla that was attacking the city that they live in. At this party, Pauline comes up to Mario and basically takes a bit of pity on him, and as the mayor, this is probably a little bit corrupt actually, but she says, hey, we can give you a job, we need some of the pipes cleaning out in the city. So the next day the Mario brothers suit up for their new job and they go down to fix the pipe situation. However, when they get there, they find that there's a lot of vines growing through the various pipes underneath the city, and when they eventually track these down to a source, they're chased down by a piranha plant which blocks the exit. They instead tumble down another set of pipes which leads them to the Mushroom Kingdom, which is very similar to how it happens in the movie. They arrive there via the pipes, and I think that's something that I would stick with. On arrival in this new kingdom, they are immediately attacked by a horde of Goombas. Mario and Luigi aren't very well suited to fighting at this point, but they're incredibly good at jumping, which they do manage to jump on some of the heads of the Goombas and kind of knock them out. They're actually saved in this scenario by Toad, who watches them and realizes how good these guys are at taking out Goombas. There's a bit of a false prophet thing going on here, where Toad thinks that there's something called the Jumpman, who there's this kind of legend about and how they will defeat Bowser. Speaking of Bowser, we now go back to him, and he's consoling his crying son, Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr. really wants a new mum, and Daisy, with her all kind of girl bossy kind of attitude, isn't the one he wants. He wants Princess Peach. And this is our motivation for Bowser. He's not doing it for himself, but he's more doing it in that he wants his son to have a mum who can take care of him. Bowser is incredibly sweet to his son, but he's incredibly ruthless when talking to his generals or his army. A lot of this comes from the fact that Bowser himself doesn't really have any parental figures in his lives. The closest to that for him is Kamek, who is a pretty evil and kind of mean and manipulating character in Bowser's life, so he just wants to give his own son a better life than he did. Bowser eventually decides to send his elite task force, the Hammer Bros, after Princess Peach. At the same time, Toad has taken Mario and Luigi to the castle of Princess Peach. At a feast held by Princess Peach, we get a bit more exposition about the Jumpman and about Mario and the different worlds that they live in. Peach mentions that in the jungle there was once a legendary hero who traveled to another world. However, that hero was defeated by a character called the Jumpman. And this is why the Jumpman is held in such high regard, because he's one of few characters to have defeated this legendary hero. If you haven't clicked on already, the Jumpman is Stanley, and this basically means that Mario gets to live Stanley's life as this hero, as this Jumpman. At the feast, however, they are attacked by the Hammer Bros, and just when all hope seems lost, Mario accidentally eats one of the mushrooms and he grows bigger, giving him the power to defeat the Hammer Bros, and basically he realizes that now he is even stronger than he expected to be due to these weird mushrooms that they have in this world. The four of them decide that with this newfound power that they have, they should head towards Bowser and try and defeat him on their own. Meanwhile, Bowser hears about this and he goes ballistic and assembles a huge army, and he specifically tells Kamek to start production on their new secret super weapon. Our four heroes then make their way to Dinosaur Island, where Mario and the team all befriend Yoshi, but the team is eventually chased by a giant dinosaur. It scatters the team apart with them traveling down different pipes. Mario and Peach head through a pipe that leads to Bowser's castle and Bowser's world, whilst Luigi and Toad head through Kong Country. Here they bump into both Donkey Kong and his aged and old dad, Cranky Kong, who is actually a really nice guy. Cranky Kong remembers Luigi, or at least somebody who looked a lot like him. He says that he once went to a different world, but he was defeated by a legendary Jumpman. He offers to give Luigi a way back into his world, however Luigi refuses, a big point in his character arc because he's normally quite cowardly, and he instead manages to rally the apes against Bowser. Meanwhile, Mario and Peach break into Bowser's castle, where they eventually find Daisy and try and free her. However, on their escape, Bowser finds them. Just as all is lost, Luigi turns up with his army of Kongs, and they begin their own attack on Bowser's castle. Mario, through the help of a mushroom, manages to escape from his captivity, and at this point, Kamek suggests to Bowser that they should unleash their secret weapon. With a drop of his own blood, he animates Dry Bowser and the Dry Bones army that Kamek has assembled. This is where Kamek makes a little bit of a power play, as he's sick and tired of just being the second in command to Bowser. Now that he has a Bowser of equal power, he double crosses Bowser and takes control of the whole army, which is magically bound to him. This forces Bowser and Mario to have to team up in order to take out this incredibly strong reviving army over and over again. As Dry Bowser grows to a huge size, Bowser reveals that he might have one weapon which could help them defeat this new powerful kaiju level monster that they're facing. He takes Mario to a room where he reveals one giant mushroom. Mario grows to super size and has a brawl with the giant Bowser, whilst Bowser, Peach, and Bowser Jr. all take on Kamek. The good guys win the battle, and Kamek is defeated and imprisoned. Princess Peach gives both Bowser and Bowser Jr. a kiss on the cheek, however Bowser realizes that he's okay with being a single dad at this point. Mario and Luigi, who are now heroes at this point, travel back to the regular world with Cranky Kong, who reveals to everyone that Stanley isn't the hero that everybody thought he was, and that the monster that he managed to take down was actually just a really old gorilla. At this point, Pauline leaves him because he's in the stages that Mario was in at the very start of the movie. Mario and Luigi settle down in the Mushroom Kingdom where people finally appreciate them, and the movie ends. So yeah, that was the movie that I wrote almost 2 years ago about how I would do the Mario movie. What did you think to it? Do you think it's an improvement? Do you think it's worse? Because, again, I haven't changed anything about this. I wrote this literally in like a fever dream night one night, and I was just so obsessed with getting it done. I really like talking about my ideas because I have a lot of ideas, but I often struggle to get them out onto the page, and talking really helps me with that. So if you've enjoyed this, please consider subscribing. I also have a different channel where I make videos about Pokemon, so if you're into Pokemon, try and look at that. But I hope I've earned a like or a subscribe from you, or I hope you just enjoyed the video. Thank you.